Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the new sanctions that Donald Trump has imposed on Russian oil companies. It's in fact probably the first major sanctions steps that Donald Trump has taken that directly target Russia and Russian assets. So far, the only major step that he had taken was to impose 25% extra tariffs on India and India alone for buying Russian oil and keeping Russia in the war. To such an extent that sometimes some of the Trump administration people had started calling India as essentially the sponsor of Russian war in Ukraine. But the sanctions that were imposed yesterday are significant. They target two of Russia's biggest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil. Rosneft is also the company which was targeted by European Union a couple of months ago. It operates out of India. And I think there is an Indian version of this company also. The tariffs are pretty comprehensive, or the sanctions are pretty comprehensive. No American entity or anybody who trades with them will face secondary challenges. And if Americans do any business with them, they are probably going to end up in jail. And not only are these two companies also sanctioned, but all their subsidiaries in any company that they own more than 50% of the share, all those companies are also now part of these sanctions. India has been given a little freedom, which means that Indian oil refiners who have been buying oil from these two companies have until 21st of November, so about a month, for them to essentially find alternative buyers. Otherwise, they too could face secondary sanctions. So this is a major shift in Donald Trump's policies. Until now, he had been only pressuring Ukraine to basically bring about a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. But now Donald Trump is now directly pressuring Russia. I think this is the alternative to not selling tomahawks to Ukraine. And during the sanctions announcement, Donald Trump did even go to the extent of explaining why he did not sell tomahawks to Ukraine. He says the learning period is quite long. It takes about 6 months to learn how to handle the tomahawks, and they are very complicated to fire. And if they had to be deployed right now, the Americans would have to shoot them. And so that is out of the question. So there was no point in giving the tomahawks to Ukraine because Donald Trump wants this war ended now. He's not waiting 6 months. So that's how he explained why he had declined to sell tomahawks to Ukraine. Clearly, he's under pressure from Europe. Donald Trump, Rudd, the NATO General Secretary, was with him when he made these announcements, and European Union and other NATO allies like Great Britain are also going to follow through and impose sanctions on these companies and other Russian assets. So this is a big step, no doubt about it, and this is surely going to upset Russia, and Russia will have to find new ways of selling oil, and the price of oil has gone up now, so even India and China are affected. China issued a very strong condemnation of these new sanctions. European Union has also sanctioned some Chinese companies directly, and the Chinese said this has no basis in international law, and what the West is doing is quite unilateral. And in fact, if you go back and look at all the statements, the final statements of BRICS, one of the things that BRICS nations have condemned is these unilateral, non-multilateral, and therefore non-legal sanctions that the Western countries, especially the United States, use against other countries. China's opposition notwithstanding, this is going to have a serious impact on Russia's capacity. Either Russia finds new ways of selling oil, and there might be ways all those companies that are subsidiaries of Rosneft and Lukoil can reduce their, ownership of these Russian companies to below 50%. And so maybe then the subsidiaries can do business. We will see how Russia copes. I'm sure they will find one of the things that we have learned about sanctions are that sanctions rarely have the effect of, of achieving the policy that they are implemented under. I mean, sanctions failed against Iraq, sanctions have failed against Iran. Iran has not ended its nuclear program. I mean, even the bombing has not ended it. And so I'm not very sure that the the sanctions will have that serious an impact on Russian policy in the short term, but they are definitely going to hurt Russian economy, and especially with the rise of oil, it's also going to undermine India, because even if India shifts from out of Russian oil to buy from other countries, it will definitely be paying two premiums. One, it will lose the Russian discount, and number two, it will be paying the higher price, higher market price. And the reason why the higher market price exists now, as opposed to yesterday, is because of the new sanctions imposed by the United States on Russian oil companies. But this is also an opportunity for Prime Minister Modi if he wants to take it, which is he can now make the argument that given the fact that these new sanctions have raised the price of oil and have made it so impossible to buy Russian oil, we are going to stop buying Russian oil and we will now buy oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, or even the United States. And in that process, they can reduce or completely eliminate the 25% additional tariffs that Trump administration has imposed on India and maybe get more concessions in the bilateral trade agreement after announcing that they are not going to be buying Russian oil after 21st of November. So this is an opportunity for Prime Minister Modi to take it. And we will see whether India takes that opportunity or not. On a separate note, as you all are aware, Donald Trump has announced, has celebrated Diwali in the White House. He brought in a bunch of Indian Americans from both politics and business sector. And Nikki Haley was there, Tulsi Gabbard was there, Kash Patel was there, and some prominent CEOs were there. And then during his discussions of that, he said that he had spoken with Prime Minister Modi, congratulated him for Diwali, and also told him no more wars with Pakistan, which is quite interesting, the way he phrased it, no more wars with Pakistan. And so basically, is Donald Trump putting an end to Operation Sindoor? If you recall, Prime Minister Modi has said on many occasions that Operation Sindoor was only on pause and that there could be an Operation Sindoor 2.0 or more anytime soon. So in that sense, it is interesting to see that Donald Trump has, at least here, he's saying that in his conversations with Modi, he has told Modi no more wars with Pakistan. Prime Minister Modi on X acknowledged his phone call with Donald Trump and thanked him for wishing him on Diwali, but said that they had agreed upon fighting terrorism in all its forms. I find that tweet quite interesting. India keeps saying that it fights terrorism in all its forms. I suppose what it means is that terrorism conducted by state actors, terrorism conducted by non-state actors, terrorism supporters, etc., everything is an enemy in India would like to fight. And this is 1 week after hosting the Taliban and giving them the red carpet. I mean, Muttaqi, Amir Khan Muttaqi, the acting foreign minister of Afghanistan, the Taliban guy, was treated like a superstar. He had 2 press conferences. He got to, at least in the first conference, bar women from attending those press conference. He spoke at a think tank, and then he went to Darul Uloom Deoband. So he was treated like a superstar, and this is a country whose government has not been recognized by anybody, including India. So no country has formally recognized it, yet India celebrated Taliban. Taliban are considered by many as a radical Islamic group, which is a terrorist organization. And not only that, it still continues to harbor various terrorist groups inside its borders, like TTP that commit acts of terrorism in Pakistan, the ISIS Khorasan as well as Al-Qaeda are still there. And then there are smaller groups which are a threat to Central Asian countries like Turkmenistan. And it is quite fascinating that Prime Minister Modi can say that we condemn terrorism in its all its forms and still entertain the Taliban. Let me put it very bluntly, India's relations with Taliban are no different from Pakistan's relations with other terrorist groups. So India is behaving like Pakistan, and it is going to have a negative impact on India's ability to go to the rest of the world. Remember the parliamentary committee that India sent to some 36 countries to go and explain why India did Operation Sindoor, in which they tried to paint Pakistan as a supporter of terrorist groups. And unfortunately, now, if there is another reason why India would, in the international forums, talk about Pakistan supporting Jaish-e-Mohammed or Lashkar-e-Taiba, Pakistan now has a very strong talking point about Taliban supporting, of India supporting Taliban, who supports TTP. Anyway, but coming back to Donald Trump, I think this is also perhaps one of the reasons why Prime Minister Modi is not going to Kuala Lumpur for the ASEAN summit. There are three major summits happening in East Asia in the next few days. You have the ASEAN summit. So the 10 member countries of ASEAN will be getting together, which will be immediately followed by the East Asia summit, where Donald Trump is expected to come to Kuala Lumpur. And the number two from China will also be there. And then after the East Asia summit, which also includes ASEAN countries interacting with Japan, India, China, the US, and Russia, there will be the APEC summit in South Korea. India is not part of APEC. So I don't think Prime Minister Modi will go to South Korea, will not go to Seoul, but he has announced that he's not going to Kuala Lumpur. I think it's very clear that he's trying to avoid being in the same room with Donald Trump. Narendra Modi did not go to the UN General Assembly. He sent Dr. Jaishankar, and then subsequently he was invited to go to Sharm el-Sheikh, and he did not go there for the Gaza summit. And now he's scheduled to go to Kuala Lumpur. He did last time attend ASEAN summit, but now he's not going to there either. I think he's afraid that if he's with Donald Trump in the same room, Donald Trump will simply address him and say, good, how come you have not thanked me for bringing about a ceasefire between me and Pakistan, between India and Pakistan? And also he would probably tell him on his face, no more wars with Pakistan. And Prime Minister Modi, I think, is afraid to talk back to Donald Trump in the way that the Chinese do that or Putin does. So I think it's a pity that Prime Minister Modi's inability to stand up to Donald Trump is undermining India's interests, because there was a lot of chatter here in Washington that the trade agreement with India is nearly finalized, and they could have announced the trade agreement in Kuala Lumpur together. And not only that, but also India now does have an opportunity to say, well, given the new sanctions, we cannot buy more Russian oil, and thereby get a higher discount from Donald Trump, and Prime Minister Modi could have sealed the deal in Kuala Lumpur. But let's see what happens. I'm going to keep an eye, as usual, on all these summits, and I will share with you my take on what's going on in East Asia. So thank you for watching Khanversations. If you're not already a subscriber, do subscribe to the channel. Like this video, press the bell icon, and of course, don't forget to consider becoming a member of the channel. We have very frequent Zoom meetings with members who give me a lot of useful feedback. So thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care.